And we're live. A win.
A win. Welcome win.
Nice.
So, where would you start then?
Well, I'd like to start with the first 15 minutes because that was good. And it looked good. And it was nice. And it was lovely to see us coming out straight away. And we were closing people down. We were zipping the ball around with pace and stuff like that, you know, and looked really in control. And then it happened. We conceded our customary early goal off a corner, and which even it seemed a bit strange. Okay, we got caught out on it on that first one with the marking and stuff, that we didn't then after the second, third, and fourth times where we got completely beaten in the air with the marking system, that we didn't kind of think maybe something's not working here, and then we seemed to completely collapse. After that, just the confidence went. They sank back. They sat deep, which seems a strange thing to do when you go behind, but you know, it's usually
especially when you're vulnerable in defence.
Yeah, and we don't normally do that until we've gone one ahead. So I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, they kind of struggled, and they really did struggle a lot. It was luckily, and players disappeared. I mean, there was a lot of criticism for some players I was reading on the forum that I thought was a little harsh, because I don't think any one was particularly bad. I just thought they all seemed to just disappear a little bit. I think it's one of those. Opponents came in for some right abuse, which I didn't think was very fair, to be honest, because I don't think he was any worse than any of the other three behind Silver, to be honest. Well, I say three behind Silver. Was it? Were we playing?
We seem to be trying to just be. It did seem to be that kind of 4-2-3-1 type formation.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is when we went to goal behind, and we need to go and grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and it becomes a bit of a physical battle. Then Brighton's giants against Podence, there's only going to be one winner in that, and it can look like. And the same happened a bit to Vitinha, and a bit also to Morgan Gibbs-White. They're getting knocked around a bit. The one player who I thought physically did exceptionally well today, considering, was Fabio, which we'll come on to later. But I do feel that in that situation, you need to be first to the ball and move it quickly, because you know you're going to get clattered. And you know the referee's not going to want to be buying cheap fouls.
Oh, looks like we've lost Rich. Too much sun, that is. Oh, we lost you there, Rich.
If you're going to physically kind of not be up to that challenge, you are going to get knocked and condemned a bit on that. I felt Podence in the first half didn't have a great game, but then that kind of getting on top of the game, breaking the dominance of Brighton, isn't his game really.
No, and
he was never going to look great in that.
Well, I don't think, as I said, I don't think any of the three did. Once we went one behind and we suddenly just lost all faith in ourselves, they all looked pretty poor. But then they're attacking players. They're not like you said. They're not there to win the ball and stuff like that. They're there to create up at the other end. But if it doesn't get to them and there's very little movement from behind, which I thought was the worst problem, is that we sat deep, and then so even if it went to Podence, it went to Gibbs-White, it went to Vitinha, there was no one with them. So whereas in the first 15 minutes the whole team was up there with them, and we look. That's why they looked better, because they've got options. There was, I mean, I may have made a comment myself in the thing saying, you know, there's times. There was a time when Neves had the ball and the ball came to him and he moved forward and you could see him look, and he was looking around, waiting for someone to do so, and they just stood there, and you're like, well, and the move breaks down, and you're kind of like, well. And then on top of that, you've got Moutinho, who seemed to like slowing the ball down quite a lot, which slowed the play down as well. And and that was the problem. You've got a combination of no movement and slowing the play down. Is not a good mix.
No, and especially when it's in our final third or the middle third, because then if you're a forward player and I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to give players chance to move. But as you've said before, they're not really coached in that middle third, especially to look for that kind of movement. And they tend to. There's lots of times, and it was picked up in commentary, where they were just static. There's no movement, no. And the thing is about playing that kind of game, and you've seen it at every level, is you have to make 1,000 runs which never come off until people learn that you're going to make those 1,000 runs.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it does come down to coaching ultimately. That, which is, it's very disappointing, really. For me, that's. It kind of did those younger players, especially Vitinha, Gibbs White, Fabio. It kind of makes them look bad because they're relying on some creative passing from Neves, Vitinho, Ed Nouri and Hoover. I thought Ed Nouri had a fantastic game, to be honest. I think
I'll be honest, to be fair to Neves and even Moutinho, I do think, I know less extent Moutinho because he did seem to slow it down when there were options on, but those three in front of them also need to move. Everyone needs to be moving around to continue. There shouldn't be when we're in possession, people really standing still, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They should always be looking to move into space.
Yeah, as I always say, like to my daughter, if you're standing still, you're not playing the game. There's no point on a football pitch that you should be standing still. You might be moving leg to leg, trying to convince somebody you're going to go one way or the other, or reacting to somebody else doing that. But you should never be standing still. It's just not that kind of game.
Standing still, flat-footed as well. You see, that's the thing. So you can't. It's not like they're standing there poised like a coiled spring, ready to run into a. It's like standing back on their heels, just watching, and you're like, well, that's not going to help because you'll either get caught. You'll get, and then that's why when they do receive the ball, they sometimes when they're in that mode, they look surprised to receive the ball, and you're like, well, you're on the pitch.
You're on the pitch here to take the ball. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think obviously, the ball through. Then when Dunk got sent off, which completely changed the game because it took a lot of their corner and set piece threat out, losing Dunk because he was winning pretty much every battle in the air, and that gave us a chance. And then you double that with bringing on Traore, who came on and looked absolutely lovely.
It was a stand.
And you could tell the difference, and you can see the difference. So all those people who say we look better with Traore in the team, that is a perfect example again as to why we don't look better without Traore in the team. And no, we shouldn't sell him. There's people clamouring to sell him. I cannot fathom out why they want to sell him, but they do. I don't know.
There's an element, I think, that comes down to an element that doesn't there, surely, that it's like, and the same could be said of Neves. If you put Neves or Traore in a team which plays to his strengths, then you'll get a different player. But if you're not going to play to his strengths all the time, there's an argument that if the leopard can't change its spots, then put it in an environment where he's got camouflage instead of being out on somewhere where you can see him sticking out like a sore thumb. And I think Traore is a classic example of that. They double up on him all the time. Have you ever seen them not double up on Traore?
Exactly.
Now, if there's 11 against 11, that means there's got to be space elsewhere on the pitch. But because
that's the thing that winds me up so much is you've got a player who continually grabs at least two players, and we're not exploiting the space. Then
no, yeah, exactly.
That's not Traore's fault.
No. The fact you can guarantee he'll beat his man and either get a corner or get a cross in. There's going to be the odd tackle, and he'd be Messi if that wasn't the case. It tells you that in a team